What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Adex providing you with another trade recap video. In this video, we're going to be going over the TSM trade that we swung overnight as a group, and man, did it pay extremely well. In this recap, you're going to see the reason why we took the trade and the reason why we swung it overnight. Now on to the video. TSM, swing low, swing high. You have 3 wicks on the weekly level, on the weekly time frame at the 0.618. Not only that, you got a double inside week. So we know about the magnitude of a double inside week. Think of it like this, right? 2 weeks of consolidation. You weren't able to break out the first week, so then you weren't able to break out the second week. So if for those of you that have been in my one-on-ones or heard about the tug of war example, that's how I like to think out. That's what I like to think of it about. The more you consolidate, the bigger the breakout, essentially, right? So if you have a double inside week break, a double inside week paired with the OTE, paired with the triple weekly hammer, telling you that for 3 weeks we're not going to allow price to close below 82. What do I like to say? All right, they're telling us that price can go in 2 directions. If they're not going, price can only go in 3 directions: down, right, or up. If they're telling you we're not going down, then you can take your 2 chances on either going to the right, consolidating a little bit more, or going up, right? Paired also, look at that, if you have a gap fill play to the upside, right? This is also a double bottom bounce. You can see you get your trend line break. For those of you that like to play trend lines, you get your trend line break on the daily, right? This is the play that I, on Monday, was it Monday? Yeah, on Monday, when I said like, yo, did you guys see TSM, was because of the fact that like we had this inside daily breakout to the upside with displacement, taking out this entire range that we've been consolidating for like a week and a half before. So once I saw that, and it paired with the gap fill play to the upside like this right? And so TSM gap fill play to the upside potentially. And then once you understand that SMH is also showing possible retracement back to the upside, or a TTO or a reversal back to the upside, that is how you pair sector rotation or sector strength with the corresponding stop, and you're able to get your target, and you're able to get your trade.
Bro, TSM's going, why are you looking down? No. I'm trying to get an entry, y'all.
Right.
I'm trying to join the party.
No, it doesn't matter. There are 2 gaps coming up on 94. Beautiful 2 gaps. And TSM, I'm telling you, it was 96 not a long time ago.
So, okay, I want to say something about TSM. Like, so you remember how yesterday I even said, I was like, dude, I really like TSM. I know ICT folks are going to be pissed off because my entry and shit like that. Like, so I just want to say the reason why, like, I take that entry despite, like, you know, even though I only had a starter, right? The reason why I take that entry, because I don't know if it's going to leave without me or not. Sometimes you'll see a play trigger and go. Sometimes it will give you the retracement. So if you know the general direction, like, oh, this chart looks good to the upside based off the 1 week time frame, right? Like, oh, it looks good to the upside. If you can get 1 contract, 3 contracts, 5 contracts, depending on what your position usually is, right? And then when you do get an OTE entry, then you go in full position, right? So this is just one of those examples where, hey, we weren't able to get, or I personally wasn't able to get my full position on this, but hopefully my starter size can make up the entire money for my full position, if that makes sense. So that's what the difference between like the strat trigger and the OTE trigger. Like, yeah, the OTE trigger will be significant, or not significant, but it will be cheaper depending on the premiums and things like that. But sometimes strat says, oh, it triggered today, we're not going to look back, right? And me personally, I don't like seeing a setup where it's like, I think I know where you're going, and then I'm like, all right, let me wait a little bit, but then it leaves without me, and I'm like, bro, I knew exactly where it was gonna go, or not exactly where it's gonna go, but I thought I knew it was gonna go. I knew it was potentially gonna take off, and then it just takes off without me. So that's why I'm like, all right, let me just get a little bit, right? And then if that ends up moving, then I can start managing my position. If I can get a dip buy more, and then see if it wants to go for a higher strike price, or a higher price, if that makes sense.
Also the FOMO too.
Yeah.
Look, I swear, yesterday, I think we were down 25% on TSM.
Yeah.
I was saying, like, where are we going with this? And look what happened next day. I mean, just back to Adex's point about the entry, it was a bad entry when we got in.
It depends on your time frame that you're looking at. If I'm looking at TSM on the double weekly, on the double inside week, so it's not a bad entry. The entry and exit is dependent on what time frame that you're looking at. If you're looking at it as a daily participant, right, that could be, and you're looking on the daily time frame, or you're looking at the hourly time frame, yes, that's considered a bad entry. But if you're looking at it on a higher time frame, because don't forget, we got TSM around $84 or $85, something like that. If you look at it on the based off the weekly chart, TSM then, or from here, actually, let me draw it for you. From here to here, that is not considered a bad entry. But if you're looking at the daily chart, then yeah, that's gonna look like a bad, if you look at it on the 65-minute chart, then yes, it looks like a bad entry because we got it right here and it came down, right? Then this looks like, oh yeah, that's kind of a bad entry. But if you look at it on the higher time frame, no, because we got it here and it's still going to, our price target is all the way up here. So does it look like a bad entry if your price target is potentially going all the way to the top of this range? If you got it here?
I don't disagree there. Let me rephrase it. Like, not an optimal entry. I'm just saying, like, we were down like minus 25% after I got in. At least me. I don't know about your price. But I was like, where are we going with this? Because you don't want to go down 25% immediately after you get in something.
I personally don't mind.